Okay, I think we're live. Okay, so today I'm going to solve some basic Python problems. I'm going to set up an easy level. I'm going to solve only easy level challenges. Okay, let's start. Give me 1 minute and then we can start. Okay, okay, I think I have solved a lot of this. So let's go over a couple of solved ones and then we can go over unsolved ones. Okay, let's pick a swap case. Okay, so let's read the problem statement out. You are given a string and your task is to swap case. Just convert all the lowercase to uppercase to lowercase. Okay. Uh, okay, so let's take compute the swap case function. So okay, so all he wants me to do is write this function. So he has already given me how to take the input, how to call the function, and how to print the results. So my swapped string, so let's say they inputted abc, so small abc, so the capital abc which is being returned should be sorry, which is being converted should be returned here. Okay. Okay, so he gave a sample, so let's just take this string as input. Okay, and do it in our VS Code. I'm going to copy his piece of code so that we'll be consistent and do whatever we do, right? Okay. Yeah. Okay. So here, so first thing that I'm going to do is set up a variable with the name response. Okay. And then we are going to return response. So, okay, so now there are many ways to do this. So one way is to have a, so the way that I am going to do this is I'll be having a list of lowercase letters, lower alpha, so we'll have something like a, b, c, so on. Okay, so the best way to do this is maybe I do list of so there are only 26, so I don't need to worry too much. And let's do one thing, let's just print this lower alpha and see if that is achieving what we want. Okay, called the good. Not sure why the Python setting. Okay, let me do one thing. So deactivate. Deactivate. Okay, cool. Okay, let's do which Python. So now there is a Python running. Okay, cool. Okay, I'm going to see into problems. Okay, now I'm in this directory where this file exists, right? So I'm going to just do Python space question1.py. Oh, okay. So basically, this is asking me for an input. Okay, see. So we got a list of lowercase alphabets. So let me do the same thing with uppercase. Right? So dot upper. So we know that if in a string, if we just do dot upper, it will convert the lowercase alphabets to uppercase alphabets. Okay, so what we do is to test out these small pieces of lines that I'm writing. I'll just open a Python environment. Okay, so for example, if I want to test what happens when I do dot upper, right? So all I'll do is do abc dot upper. Okay, there. So we have converted into this. So ideally, right now, if I do upper alpha, so it is asking me for an input. If I do st, so it's printing me uppercase alpha. Okay, so what is the plan? So how are we approaching this problem? Okay, so all I want to do is convert lowercase alphabets to uppercase, right? So let's say, okay, okay, let's say if a user inputs ABC, then I want it to be capital ABC, and if he inputs Harsha with capitalized, so I want it to be Harsha H small and RSH to be capitalized. Okay, so one way to do it is we go through each and every character in the input and see if it is lowercase or uppercase using is lower uh, or is upper string methods. So this will if the string is lowercase, or if the character, okay, we have to do it with character wise because there can be a mix of lowercase and uppercase, right? If the character is lower, then this returns 1, else 0. So meaning if the string is lower, it will return 0. If 1, if it is upper, it will return 0. So for example, if you see here, if I do this dot is lower, yeah, it's true. So if it is capital, it will return false. So I think either we could use this method where I will go through each and every character and see uh, and see its case. If it is lower, then I will append an upper one. If it is upper, then I will append a lower case. So what happens if I do 1? Okay, so this says it's not upper. So what is 1 ka upper? Let's try that. Dot upper. Right, it's 1. So that makes sense. So we don't need to worry about numbers and symbols in this case. So let's try this method instead of going into alphabet route. So let's remove this. So what I'm going to do is write a loop over all the characters in this. So for each character in S, okay, so I want to check if it is a lowercase character or uppercase character. If each char dot is upper. So if it is upper, what should I do? I should convert it into lowercase and add it to response. So response equal to response plus converting it to lowercase is dot lower. So each char dot lower. Okay, so what we are doing is here we are checking if the character is uppercase, converting it into lowercase and adding it to response, which is the final result. So here we are equating to the whole input string. Okay, so if each char dot is lower, so in case if it is lower, then convert char to uppercase and add it to response. Okay, response equal to response is each char dot upper. Okay, so can there be a case if a character is not lower or upper? I'm not sure, but let's say there is that case. What I'll do is I'll just keep the character as is. Response plus it's just like it's just a good habit to cover all the cases. So if I'm using if and else if, there can be a case where if both of these are failed, not in this particular scenario but in general, so we have to have a default case which is like else. So if this condition is true, do this. If this condition is true, do this. If both the conditions are not true, do something else. That's all we are trying to do here. Okay, and then we are already returning the response. So whatever change, so we created a new string, new empty string, right? And then we iterated through the input string, which is this. So basically when the user enters some input, we are storing it in a variable s and we are sending it to the function swap case. So in the function swap case, once I get the variable, I'm iterating through that variable. So in iterating to the string in that variable, and for each character, so the iteration variable here is each char, and for each character I am going to check if it is lowercase or uppercase, and accordingly I will switch the case. I will swap the case according to this function, and I will append. Okay, finally I will just return the response. Okay, so let's test this. Okay, so enter a input. Let me do Harsha. Okay, so here if you see the capitalization letters, lowercase letters are all switched. Okay, so now I want to do the same test. I want to test it with symbols and capitalized characters. Yeah, it didn't break. So I was thinking if there is a space or colon or some other symbol, what would happen? And I think it's working as expected. So I don't need to copy this input, but I'll just copy this output and test it in the function. Okay, this function. Okay, so if you are using HackerRank, so there is a way that you can test against custom inputs. So what you can do is you can give an input and you can run your code and see what happens. Okay, for this input, this is the output. The compilation is successful. So basically there are two things, right? So one is to uh, have a code without errors, and the other is to have a code which does what we want to do. Okay, So let's submit the code and see. Okay, cool. So all the cases are solved. Yeah, so this is how we solve a problem. Okay, I'm going to stop here this particular video. Maybe uh, maybe I'll just continue in a while. Okay. If you have any questions, you can post it in the comments and I'll try to get back.